So, yeah. All right, let me get into this. Pro Football Focus put this out, and I got asked a question on it. I'm going to throw this at you here. And these are the guys in the NFL that, to me, and we always are going to do this. We're always going to talk premium positions. And edge rusher and pass rushers are premium guys. These are the top 32, according to Pro Football Focus, that are in the league today, that are the elite guys that rush the passer that make all the money. Let's start with 32. Alex Highsmith, Pittsburgh. Boy, I'll tell you one thing Pittsburgh has done. As bad as they've been on defense, you got Hayward in there, and you got this guy on your line, and you got TJ Watt. Injuries. I think Pittsburgh on defense is going to be a formidable team this year. They have some pass rushers and defensive players. Pittsburgh's issues now, they're too finesse. They got to get Najee Harris going a little more. They got to get better in their O-line. You know, all those years of playing with Roethlisberger, they got away from doing what Philadelphia does. You know what that is? Run the freaking ball, dude. Run the ball. 31. These are the top pass rushers, according to Pro Football Focus. I actually like this list. Cameron Jordan, New Orleans. Man, I love him. God, is he a good football player. How he is still, the only reason that he's still in New Orleans is because he's so productive. He is such a good football player, man. I am really shocked that a team hasn't come in and offered up big draft choices for him. I think he can play. He's big. He's physical. He's got great hands. Boy, I'll tell you, this guy can move it. He is, without a doubt, one of my favorite football players in the NFL, especially when it comes to being a versatile player in the D-line. Man, he's a handful. God. Number 30, Pro Football Focus has Brandon Graham ranked number 30. That's quite high for a 36-year-old defensive end. Kudos. You know what? I'm going to say this to you about Brandon Graham. He's not a Hall of Famer. But I'll tell you what he's done. He's put a Hall of Fame effort together for his career. Tone goes, I like that spot for Graham. Let me tell you why. Here's a guy that really made small steps early in his career on getting better and better and better as a player. Kudos to him, man. He continued to evolve. Michigan kid, smart, got better, got better, got better, got better, got better, got better, got better every step. I mean, like, check this out. Would we not agree? Brandon Graham 10 years ago, Brandon Graham now. I don't know. I think he's maybe better right now. Okay? He's a Hall of Fame person. Put a Hall of Fame effort together, man. And look, his attitude, the whole thing, man. He's a pleasure. That's the kind of guy right there, Brandon Graham. It's a privilege to have in your locker room. It's a pleasure to play with. It's a privilege to go to work to. See him every day. Putting a smile on your face. Energy. You know, I mean, those are that's the kind of guy right there you hate to see leave your building. Okay? And that's why he probably wanted to remain instead of going to Cleveland in the offseason. Black jacket guy, for sure. Absolutely. I'm putting him in the Eagle Hall of Fame. There is no doubt about that. Number 29, Greg Rousseau from Buffalo, the kid from the University of Miami. I like him. I think they need more from him this year. Buffalo's got to rush the passer better. They didn't do a good enough job a year ago. I think he's got to play the run a little bit better. I like the kid. Kid follows me on Twitter. He asks me questions on how he does every now and then. What'd you think of the game? I watched a game last year that he played against the Jets, and I thought he was getting off the ball. I go, what are you watching? And he goes, I'm watching the quarterback. I go, don't watch the quarterback. Watch the center. The quarterback is going to fool you. When you're looking down the line of scrimmage, don't ever look at the quarterback. Look at the guy with the ball in his hand, the center. When that center moves, you go. Not when the quarterback moves. Quarterback is always dicking around back there. That ball will move. I always looked at the ball. I never looked at the quarterback, especially when it's being snapped. Remember something, and this is another key when you're talking to young players. If you're in the middle of a play and you follow the football will always take you away from the play. Look at the techniques in front of you. Is a guy shaded? Is a guy with big splits? Is he with a deep set? Are they trying to do a full block or a wham block on you? Okay? Look at the things in front of you there and look at the technique that you're playing. Technique will always take you to the play. That's what you're looking at for a D lineman. A D lineman that understands that. Take me to the play. What will that mean? Well, that means I'm around the ball then. If you take me to the play, I'll be around the ball. If I start with my head, this is what Jordan Davis did last year. Jordan Davis was playing like this because he was looking at the ball, and it took him away from the play numerous times. That's a rookie move. Okay, I'll give you the benefit on that. That's rookie stuff. Okay? That's why when a guy plays high and he's up over his pads and he's looking around like this and he's looking for the ball, that's a guy who's not playing technique, and you're going to get blocked every day doing that. Okay? You get blocked every day doing that. Number 28. You ready for this one? Josh Sweat, Philadelphia. These are the top 32 pass rushers according to Pro Football Focus. I love this kid. 6'5", 4.5 in there, about 255, long arms. He is just he's your best and most complete as of today, June 12th, your most complete defensive football player on the D line. Can play the run, sets the edge, rushes the passer well, You want to hear something? Josh Sweat has already done in his career something Jadeveon Clowney's never done, double-digit sacks. And I believe he got him in the 4th round. Steal. This kid's a good football player. Could be great. Number 27, Cincinnati, very underrated kid. Love this kid, Sam Hubbard. If you look at the Bengal defense, in many ways, in my opinion, is better than the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're better up front. I think they're better at linebacker. You probably have better corners, which kind of evens it down a little bit. Cincinnati, though, is a very underrated defense. And they got another kid on the other side who's just as good. Okay? They're very underrated, the Bengal defense. I like that spot for Sweat. When you do the math on that spot, he is being considered the same other. Yeah, no, he is, man. He has overachieved from his draft spot, and he's living up to his talent that he had in high school. Yes, that's right, Tone. He was a highly recruited kid at Florida State. And when he went into the draft, everyone was kind of shocked that he slipped down to the 4th round. And because, again, Florida State was going through transition of coaches. And after Dumbo Fisher dumped on the program and left the place barren, Florida State was kind of wobbling a little bit. They weren't very good with players around him. And I thought he didn't really have that great a senior year. And so, you saw it in him. And he spot played, but Dumbo Fisher left that place in ruin. And so the program kind of was wobbling, and it hurt him. Many thought he would have never played ball again after that knee injury, right? Okay? He's a really good ball player. Really like Josh. And continuing to get better. What his big strength is, he's so long and rangy that he sets that edge. Boy, he set that edge so well last year. Like, I don't ever remember teams running outside of him. And that's the number one thing you want to do when you got a player like that. Turn everything back inside. That's why TJ Edwards had a shit ton of tackles, and so did Kaiser White. Those guys were fabulous at turning that shit back in. Graham had a great year at that too. Brandon really put a great year together. For a guy in his mid-30s, really put a great year together. I got a kid here that, it's funny, Chase Young, I got him at 26. It's probably too high. Or Pro Football Focus has him at 26, I should say. Looks like the Steelers are making a play for him. The Steelers are interested in Chase Young. I don't know what he is, man. I think he's a gamble. I'll take Chase Young on my team too. All right. However, I'm not giving you a 1, 2, 3 for him when you're giving up on him only in his third year. Why would I give you a 1 for him when you don't want him? It's just, that's not happening. I like the kid. I think the kid has more talent than Micah Parsons. But you got to, again, this comes down to health again. And I'm not sitting there giving you high-quality picks for a kid that most likely is not going to play as productive as he was a couple of years ago. That's not working for me. Pro Football Focus has Randy Gregory. I go up and down on Randy Gregory as a pass rusher and defensive football player. His decision-making in his life has been suspect at best. He's productive. I think the Cowboys and him, because of ego, got in the way of one another. And he's in Denver. He helped that Denver team a lot. He's a good football player. I just think he's a little weird. And I don't know. I mean, is that a guy I can rely and count on all the time? I'm not sure. But he helped Denver's defense last year. He really did. I love talking pass rushers and great defensive football players. So excuse me here. I just do. Number 24, I got this kid, Denko Autry. Pro Football Focus has him down here. Tennessee has an interesting team. They got pieces. But get this, they're not in key places. You got an edge rusher here. You don't have any corners. Your linebackers are weak, and your O-line's awful. And you got a suspect quarterback, and you got an electric running back. And now you're trying to find receivers, and that's why you got Hopkins in the building today. Why would DeAndre Hopkins go to Tennessee for what? Money? Okay. You would have, get this. This is why Hopkins goes to Tennessee. Why? For money strictly. It's not for winning. They're not going to win. And then tomorrow he goes to New England, right? Well, that's kind of winning. So he's not going to get as much there. But he's creating a market with both places for the teams that truly covet him, like Kansas City. Like Kansas City and DeAndre Hopkins, that would be something to watch. I'd love to see that. So you'd have DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I'd want to see. I'd pay tickets to watch that. I agree with you, JM. Tennessee is trending down. How about New England's got – hey, here's something that you're going to have to concern yourself with in week 1 against the Eagles. New England's got pass rushers. This kid, Josh Ook, what's his name? Ook? UCHE. I watched him on film last night. He can play. And New England does a nice job of putting him in a position. He can play a 3 technique. I've seen him slide him down over the 2. Put him in a wide 9. He's a good football player, man. He is. Ook, okay, thank you, Neil. Number 22, Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit, effort guy. Big, long-ass arms. Boy, they're building some really good stuff up there in Detroit. Really good stuff. Putting quality people. They got Gardner Johnson back there now in the secondary. Man, Detroit is putting a lot of talent. They are really switching. Can I tell you why Detroit has sucked all these years? I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Ford versus Ferrari. Okay? You guys ever watch that movie Ford versus Ferrari? Okay? You ever watch that movie? And Carroll Shelby goes like this to Ford, he tells the son who runs the company, he goes, you know that folder that you have, that red folder you have in your hand? I was just wondering, I saw it go through about 9 or 10 different hands, and God knows how many committees and whatever before it even got up to here and then in your hands. And he looked at him and he goes like this: you can't win Le Mans by committee. You can't win a race by committee. I think that's how the Ford family ran the Lions for years. The same way that they run the Ford Motor Company. All the committees, all the people's opinions, and not one guy in charge. And I think they got that now. I think they're doing some good things in there, and I think they're separating themselves from the Ford Motor Company, and they're actually being football people in the building. See? And that's why you're seeing better. That's why, Chris Spielman has made quite an impact on that. You're not going to win a Super Bowl by committee. You're not going to be a football team by committee. Look, you know what? I'll tell you one thing about the Eagles that makes this even more so true. How many people are in charge in Philadelphia? Well, there's 2.5. It's the owner, it's the GM, and it's the coach. The rest of those people are worker bees. Am I right? There's clarity in Philly. It's how we show. The owner lets him have the show. He has say in it too. And the guy, get this, and the guy who's building more say up for himself, this is run really well. You got clarity. There's not 100 different opinions. I'm not saying Howie doesn't listen to his guys because they're all his guys. But you got two dudes that run the place, owner and Howie. And because the coach gets it, unlike the last coach who didn't get it, get this. They're so comfortable with who they are, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, they fired a Super Bowl championship coach. No, it's not going to work for me. He won a Super Bowl. I don't care. This is the way we're going to do it. That takes big cannolis. Fire a guy. Most organizations aren't firing that guy because they would feel like, hey, how do I know? That's not how they work there in Philly. It's Joe Banner and it's Howie Roseman. And that owner does it that way. See, Jerry is all over the place in Dallas. Yeah, he's a quarterback coach. He's the guy who has a game plan. He's a personnel director. Jesus Christ, the guy. What one thing are you great at? You're great at marketing. Think about that. What is Jerry Jones great at? Marketing the Cowboys. And yet he pretends how did he make the Hall of Fame over Bob Kraft? How is that guy in the Hall of Fame over Bob Kraft? Honestly, Bob Kraft's not in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, word is Jerry Jones is in the kitchen. Think of that. Bob Kraft is not a Hall of Fame guy. He's not a Hall of Fame guy. And Jerry Jones went to the Hall of Fame. He won those 3 Super Bowls on the back of Jimmy Johnson, and he's never been able to duplicate it since. That makes no sense. The guy who owns the team remember, he went to a Super Bowl prior to Belichick getting there. Parcells went to a Super Bowl when he owned it. I mean, this guy's won 7 AFC championships. And he's not in the Super Bowl. I mean, he's not in the Hall of Fame. How did Jerry get in? I don't get that one. 21, John Franklin Mays, the kid from the Jets, got some people on defense too. Let me take a timeout. I'll run through these real quick here. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the